actor Jackson Lewis Lee and Liam Oberfall. Congratulations, guys, on being a part of HollyShorts. And man, like I was saying when we were getting loaded up here, HollyShorts is known for having some scary and spooky and creepy movies over the years, and you guys fall right in line. Jackson, you seem like a well-adjusted, super chill, calm dude, but where did you get the idea for something as twisted as this?
I think it took me a while to get to this well-adjusted, calm dude. So I think that's kind of where I was at that point in my life. I think that was my way of, I mean, I've always been an artist, so I think that was my way of expressing myself at that time.
And Liam, talk to me a little bit about your experience on the film. Obviously, not a tremendous amount of resources or rehearsal time, I would imagine, but how did you actually sort of create an environment that allowed you to play as an actor?
So first of all, Jackson created an amazing story, and he created something that as an actor, you see it and you think, okay, this is going to be fun. You know, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be, as every actor says, it's going to be something I can dive my teeth into. Right. And, I just think, I've known Jackson for several years, and, you know, seeing him create this story and kind of bring his vision to paper and everything, it was just, it worked for me, and I was into it.
Jackson, talk to me about your demeanor on set. Obviously, intense subject matter, but are you doing certain things to kind of keep the mood light on night shoots and long days?
We had an amazing crew, honestly. Everyone was amazing. Our DP was amazing, Chevy Anderson. I mean, I could keep going. Olivia, our AD. So we had a crew and cast full of amazing people. Everyone was there to make the best film we can make. And honestly, the biggest struggle was the cold weather. We filmed it was freezing. It was absolutely freezing. But no, it was, honestly, I have no complaints. And it went oddly smooth for how films go.
Liam, I remember I interviewed Paul Giamatti once, who told me that an actor is like a professional dilettante, and that they learn a skill or they learn a trade for 2-3 months and then they go on to the next thing. But those little things you pick up, they stay with you throughout your career.
Yeah.
What did you learn from this that you think will be a part of you as an actor moving forward?
That's a tough one. I think I learned to trust everyone, right? You know, I didn't speak. So for me, there were points where I would say to Jackson, I was like, dude, I'm struggling here, you know, like, help me out, give me something. He's like, believe it, you know, you know this, you're this kid, you got this.
I don't know if everyone knows this, but Liam and I have been best friends for like the last 10 years. We met on the first day of 6th grade, and it's pretty much all been over since then. So working, it was fun working with your best friend. I think it's actually like easier because, you know, we could curse each other out. We've never gotten physical, but like if it got physical, you know, it happens, whatever.
Yeah.
But we're brothers, so yeah. But it was fun. It was challenging. Like we challenged each other, we pushed each other, and I think that also brought out more from the both of us.
Yeah.
That's super cool, man. And oftentimes you'll see, you know, actors and directors pair up. They work together a number of times over a career because there is a shorthand there and there is a trust that you guys obviously had going into this. And then now that it's finally made, I mean, just what does it feel like to be able to share it at a festival like HollyShorts?
Oh, this is a dream come true. This is what we've been hoping for a while. And we just hope to keep it going. Hope to get the next one.
First of many.
How are you going to handle the next shoot, Liam, when you're not working with your best friend and just some other director off the side?
Well, how do you know he's not working with his best friend on the next shoot? There we go.
With or without Jackson, he's always going to be my best friend, and I'm always going to call him for some pointers. And you know, just he's my guy. He's my day one. So that's how it is.
Is this the last we've seen of these characters, Jackson, or do you hope to maybe you know, be able to take this to a feature length version of the story?
We're working on some things.
No, give me some Hollywood talk. It's HollyShorts. So yeah, we've got some things in development, and
Yeah, we're working on some things.
Well, it's a great calling card, and again, fits in nicely in the pantheon of HollyShorts history. I've been doing opening night now for 10 plus years, and there's always some really scary movies, and this one's right in there and sets off our late night happy hour really nicely. So congratulations to you both.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was so nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice to connect with you guys as well. And now we take some time to welcome in the director of Broken Bird. Her name is Rachel Harrison. And this is what we're going to do all night, guys, for the next hour or so. We're going to introduce you to these talented filmmakers who all have their works premiering here opening night at HollyShorts. So, Rachel, congratulations.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Oh my gosh.
A movie about influences and the way that a young person's life is shaped and molded by their parents and the people around them. And what's left is just this beautiful coming of age story. I would imagine a very personal story for you on some level, without knowing you, just a hunch.
Definitely.
Where did the idea for Broken Bird come from?
It's definitely semi-autobiographical. I grew up with my mom, who's white, and the area where I grew up was kind of homogenous. And I think most kids probably feel pretty disconnected from religion growing up, but I felt like there was this extra step away just being the only Black person at temple and the way that they treated me and looked at me. But my relationship with my dad built slowly over time, and there were bridges through music. So I'm really glad that we got to capture that in the film, that both my parents kind of let me borrow some memories for this story.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful piece. And I asked this question to a lot of the filmmakers on opening night. Are you planning on turning it into a feature, or do you hope to be able to flesh out some more themes in the story?
Definitely. We have a feature script that's going through some workshops right now, and I'm mostly excited about it because you learn more about the father's story. It's sort of like the daughter and father growing up in parallel, and you understand how similar they are and how much they need each other, and these connections that they keep missing, but hopefully at the end it all works out.
He's perfectly cast, and he's one of those actors.
Oh my God.
Yeah, tell me his name again. He pops up and you're
Chad
like,
Coleman.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Or Cuddy from The Wire, which is how I know him mostly. Yeah. Talking to him on the phone the first time, I was sweating. My heart was going. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to hate me. But he picked up the phone and he kind of just sounded like my dad. And that's kind of the role that he took on. So it's nice having him in the family now.
I love how music is the theme of it as well. The lead girl and it loses herself in her records and stuff. So I would imagine that's something that was a part of your childhood growing up that you were able to put into the film.
Definitely. I mean, maybe you'd call it a little bit of being a music snob, but I always felt like, oh, I discovered this artist, or I'm listening to an era that none of my friends are. But it was definitely something I treasured and only shared with very few people. I think I was also self-conscious of my music taste. So yeah, it was nice to share it with my dad, and he would influence it right back. Totally.
Well, now that you've navigated this experience successfully, any advice to other filmmakers out there about how to take on a short film that is so personal, that is, in a way, I mean, you're directing part of your life, so you're obviously very connected to it, but just talk a little bit about the experience and what you learned from it.
Totally. This was my first film, and I had a bunch of...
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's really an honor to be included in this, seriously, but I think it was really the first story that came out, and I was working on it within a school program, and there was a lot of kind of stigma attached to writing something that was autobiographical. They're like, can't you be more creative? And I kind of just stuck with it and found that the authenticity of it attracted an audience that I was trying to reach, and really bonded with other film lovers, filmmakers, over just telling my own story that people recognize themselves in, even if they had a different background. So just like, ignore the haters, turn up the volume on the community that you feel like you belong within, and, have that tough skin for sure.
Well, I hope you continue to make movies. So unlike the little girl in the movie, you can buy a real Louis bag.
Oh my God.
Congratulations.
Thank
It's a
you
very,
so
very
much.
cool piece. It's called Broken Bird, and it's so great to have you a part of HollyShorts.
Of course. Thank you so much.
All right. Our next film moved me deeply. It's called I Wish for You, and we're fortunate enough to have the director here, Stuart Rideout. Stuart,
Hi.
this is a tremendous piece that
thank you very much.
sent to my wife, who is a healer and the most compassionate person I know. And this is a piece that I know a lot of people will take, just will be really moved by it, as I was. Talk to me about the whole genesis of the idea.
Well, it started.
Jeremy Irons. We'll get to that next, but let's get to the piece.
Well, it started with my initial idea was I was commissioned by the Climate Coalition, which is a group of charities in the UK, and they wanted to make a film to draw attention to climate change. So I thought about a love letter to the world, and when I was talking to them about this initial idea, my original point of view was having it written by a little child, but then I kind of needed a writer to kind of breathe life into the whole idea. So we spoke to Michael Morpurgo, who wrote Warhorse, and we were very lucky that he agreed to come on board and write this. And Michael's amazing. You know, he writes from a very warm point of view of, you know, kind of people's relationship with nature and animals. So he came on board and he changed it as a conversation, or a letter, from a grandfather to a granddaughter. And so that was the initial inception of the whole piece.
Yeah, it's, like I said, a beautiful, beautiful piece that Jeremy Irons brings to life with his narration primarily. Yeah. We see him for glimpses, but it's that recognizable voice.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah.
It's incredible. It's one of those movies, too, you watch and you go, okay, well, what do I do now? Well, what's the call to action, you think, for audiences once they see it?
Well, I think the thing is, with the whole idea for the film was to really engage an audience. Climate change is such a massive subject, and it's a very dark, it's very real threat. But we didn't really want to kind of browbeat people or preach to people. You know, we have to engage, and it's really important that there's a conversation about this. So that was primarily the goal, to kind of really engage with a vast audience. So we knew we had to make the film very emotional and appealing, both in what's said and what is and the way it looks. And I think it's really about how people engage with the natural world around them. And for me, there's all sorts of different lines you can take, but for me, the most important take out of this is to kind of really start considering the natural world around you. And that's just, it's not just rainforests in South America. It's your kind of garden. It's kind of starting to really build an appreciation of the natural world
and a real relationship with the earth. We feel so disconnected.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
And I honestly, I was so moved by it, and I think it's the perfect piece that young people can watch and have them sort of change their ways before it's too late.
As young and old people, actually, it's kind of, it was really important to us that we communicated across a generational gap. That's why we really, it's a grandfather talking to his granddaughter, and then we're with the granddaughter when she's grown up. So it's really important that we created this kind of this almost timeless feeling, and we talked across the generations. That was really vital to the whole film, really.
Now I'm just connecting with you through this piece, so I'm not sure where your head is at in terms of what you're trying to do next. But do you see yourself continuing to tell stories that further these messages of the environment, or is this sort of your standalone piece and you hope to take on?
No, I've done a few pieces. I've done a few pieces for the Climate Coalition. Along these lines. But yeah, I'd like to explore. I mean, I come at it from quite a visual storytelling point of view. I direct TV commercials, and the idea is to kind of develop projects. Not so much along these lines, but kind of drama projects. I mean, I'm really keen to connect with people on an emotional level as a storyteller. So this is perfect for me, really.
And like you said, your intention was not to create something heavy-handed or something that shapes people into action, but it's actually very inspiring and very hopeful too.
Well, exactly. I mean,
Do you have hope? I want to ask for the state of the world.
Yes, I
and where
do.
the
I do
country
actually.
is going.
I think with all the one of the things that really struck me is that we are in bad shape, but there is, I think there is a sea change of thinking, and there is hope, and I think it comes from young people and the kind of optimism. I think that's, and I feel here in the UK we have people like David Attenborough who are and they really. I remember watching his program Blue Planet about plastics, and it changed things overnight. 80% of people changed their behavior.
Wow.
And it is about re-engaging with the natural world. It's and we need to kind of really take care of it, but also really appreciate it. And I think as things progress, there is definitely, with technology, there is light at the end of the tunnel. So I am hopeful, yes. And this was made to be optimistic.
Well, Stuart, job well done. This is an incredible piece and really embodies the spirit of what HollyShorts is all about. So we're honored to have you and this film as part of it.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's absolutely terrific. The movie I Wish for You, starring Jeremy Irons, one of my favorites at the festival, as is Cruel Shoes, an animated piece. We switch gears now and get the chance to catch up with director Kavon Peterson. It's great to meet you, man. I'm a huge Steve Martin fan. I just watched his profile on CBS Sunday Morning where he's talking about his new animated book. He's got a book of cartoons now.
Right.
How did you get connected with him, and how did you work on this Cruel Shoes project together?
Sure. So I'm also a huge Steve Martin fan. I grew up on his comedy. I've had a career in independent film for the last decade, and I felt like I was never going to get a chance to work with some of my idols. And something that kind of a model that I came up with was to be able to license some old comedy bits. And so I licensed this piece from Steve Martin directly from Warner Brothers. I worked out a deal with Warner Brothers to be able to use the audio clip and animate it and do something in the Steve Martin universe. And so, I originally, when I started out, I was producing it. I wasn't going to direct it. I was working with an animator named Tim Roch, and he had to drop off the project because he became the head of animation for Netflix. So he had a good alibi. But he had done something called Story Corps, and I was producing a short that he was doing last year. And Story Corps took interviews and animated them, very heartfelt interviews, people that had lost loved ones in 9/11, very serious subject matter. But I think it was also that kind of seed of an idea of, maybe taking these comedy bits could really work.
Well, spoken like a true veteran of the independent film scene, you are incredibly resourceful, and and those are sort of the staples of being an indie film director.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you. It's been fun. It's been a fun trajectory because now that the film's done and it's done well on festival circuit, I'm working with Steve Martin's publicist to promote the movie, and they're well aware of it, and it's very cool to have that in my wheelhouse in my world now of things that I've
that's what I was going to ask you is, now that I'm learning that you weren't connected to him when you went down this road, now that the piece is made and you are connected to them, clearly they enjoyed it. So what was that experience like presenting it to them? Must have been nerve-wracking.
Yeah, we had our world premiere in March, right before COVID. And we were working with his publicist to try to get Steve Martin to appear. And so up until about 2 days before the festival, we weren't sure if he was going to be up there and do a full promotional push. And he ended up he was doing a tour with Martin Short in the UK at the time. It's been, it's not like him and I are best friends or anything. I can't, make any of those claims, but it's been great to honor his material and be able to kind of take this journey and at least keep them appraised of what's going on.
Well, what do you? Yeah, that's great. Well, what do you hope audiences take away from it? Because in addition to just some hilarious, classic Steve Martin riffing and music, and obviously animation brings it to life, but there's some real social commentary in play here.
Yeah, there really is. From what I hope audiences take away from it, my hope was to be able to take stand-up comedy and give it a new life, right? Some classic comedy bits. And Cruel Shoes, I don't know if you're familiar with it, was originally a book, and then this piece was on his Comedy's Not Pretty album. But the idea was to kind of reinterpret stand-up comedy, and so people watching it for the first time may not realize it came from a studio album, but the pacing and the timing of the work I think is perfect, and just how he spaces things. So we didn't touch or change anything in the timing when doing it. But the social commentary piece is, I think it was done in the early 70s, or sorry, not early 70s, late 70s, early 80s when the album came out, late 70s for the book, and it still resonates today in many of the things we're seeing today in just the media and the news, and how women are treated. So it's I think a timeless message, which all great comedy is.
What does it mean for you now to finally have the film out and about? You said you premiered in March, it was COVID, but now to be part of another film festival like HollyShorts, obviously very rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, we're now we've played I don't know how many festivals, but 2 opening nights on 2 Academy qualifying festivals. So we're going all the way. We're submitting for the Academy Award and see where it gets us.
No, it's a crazy part of the ride too. I mean, filmmakers fight so much to just get their vision on the screen, and then oftentimes they forget or don't have the resources to say, "Oh, I got to champion this thing to get out into the world," and it's a whole nother phase of the process. Yeah,
absolutely. So you see where it goes, and the deal I have with Warner Brothers is we're allowed to promote through next year, and then we can't play it anymore. So so that's our limited window of getting it out to festivals and getting it played. So
are you switching gears next and doing a feature, a completely something different, live action, or is this something that you want to continue to play in, you think?
Yeah, my career's been in live action features, mostly in the kids space, and animation. I've always done short versions of animation. I would love to do a feature animation. I ended up directing this one because Tim had stepped off of it, and working with Exceptional Minds, which is an amazing animation studio that I'd worked with on my previous feature, which is called Scales. So up next, I'm working on a couple TV shows, actually, because all the money's moved to television or streaming. So I have a feature that I adopted a book called Life's a Witch, which is a top book on Wattpad, which is a digital publisher. Mm-hmm. And so we were making that as a feature pre-COVID, and that's actually now we're working with MPCA to make that into a television show for streaming. So that's what I'm working on currently.
Well, congratulations. I look forward to seeing whatever it is you're working on next, because you really brought this thing to life. And I love hearing the story of how it came together. You just wanted to do it and you just put yourself out there. And here we are, however many years later. So congratulations, man.
3.
1 for each minute of the film. That's
yeah, right. Yeah, there you go.
Congratulations.
Do a career in indie film. It's great. It's wonderful. It's no trouble.
Very cool. Very cool. The movie is Cruel Shoes. And we switch gears now. I'm being told we have the cast and some of the crew from Theo. This was a wild one. Andrew Goldberg, producer, Landon Laborin, director, and RG Gross is here. What's up, guys? Theo.
Hello.
I said to the first group from Thompson Farm that jumped on the second block of conversations we're having tonight that HollyShorts is known, I've been doing this for 10 plus years with these guys, is known for having some slasher movies and violent horror movies, creepy stuff. This is stylized and funny, but yet gory. So where did the idea come from and how did it come together?
It originally just came as a writing exercise to try and start writing and learning, my own kind of voice and what I wanted to write about. And this is just sort of what came out. I wanted to set it in a certain sort of aesthetic of like a 50s, 60s aesthetic. And so the barbershop just naturally came to mind. And then the character of Victor, this very aggressive, sad old man, just sort of naturally came. And I really like when film plays between the realm of reality and kind of the inside of a character's mind. So
absolutely. And I love a great short film that just switches gears. And the first time you see this barber take out his frustrations on his client, it just totally shocks you. So for you as an actor in this, were you shocked when you were approached at this character's journey and his arc in this piece?
Well, sure, because when you first read it, it's it starts out kind of minor key enough,
Yeah.
That you don't really see what's coming, and then and this sort of like bottled up rage of we shot this in 2019, right? Last year, like a year.
Don't win together now. Every day is Tuesday.
Yeah, right. I know that's so. There's this period where there was this kind of building, like societal anger.
Yeah.
So when I read it, it seemed to like tap like right into that, and then of course when you see the movie, there's a turn and a release from that is the thing that really grabbed me and made me so happy to participate in it.
Well, I was going to say, the three of you guys, noticing your facial hair, you aren't getting shaved in the barbershop too often, but as someone who does go in there and gets the old like Godfather whole thing, that's what I think about, right?
You get very suspicious, once you see this movie.
It's a lot of trust, obviously, you put into a barber when you get in the chair like that. I'd love to ask you, Andrew, what kind of trust you had in the team you were able to put together as a producer to knock out a piece like this, because it's very ambitious, it's stylized, and I would imagine shoestring budget and not a lot of time.
Yeah, we shot it in 2 days, and every short takes so much work on behalf of the cast and crew, and in a lot of ways it takes more work and cleverness, if you will, than a feature, because you're hindered by so many other obstacles, not the least of which is financial. But Landon and I had known each other for a little while, and I was excited to work with him. And Ari and I actually had known each other for some time because we both worked on the television show Castle for years. So it was fun to kind of put a combination of worlds together. And I know there were people that worked on this that both Landon and I had known from our personal worlds that came and were a part of it as other actors and crew and stuff. So that was a fun experience. And yeah, the violence, while dramatic, was fun to exercise and to experiment with.
Landon, I think you mentioned this was an exercise, but like a lot of films here at HollyShorts, I could see Ari's character going on to, hold the length of a feature film. Is this an idea you want to continue to pursue, or is it some kind of that you want to leave standing on its own?
It's really
a job. Such an actor. He's like, really?
I would love to shoot a whole film of Victor with Ari. That would be amazing. But it really was meant to kind of stand on its own. It's funny. I recently rewatched Akira, and after watching that, and knowing that this was happening soon, the premiere of the short, I was watching it and I was like, man, you could make a movie where Victor, after this experience with the boy, goes on and decides to lead a different life, and work through whatever bottled up emotions he is holding, because the story is quite vague of what's actually ailing him. But I could definitely see a journey with him through a whole feature. Watching Akira made me go like, maybe I should finish a film.
Yeah. Well, Ari, the life of an actor, you never know where it takes you. Obviously happy that it took you to this moment teaming up with these guys, but how do you think this experience being a part of a film like this and playing a character like this will stay with you into whatever jobs you take on next?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is because the industry's been hit so hard. I think the barber skills that I picked up are going to come in.
Now you don't have to lie on the resume. Every actor is like, yes, I can speak Spanish, and I can be a barber, and I can ride a horse.
I can use a straight razor. So yeah.
Lastly, as we wrap up, guys, just any advice out there from the three of you to anybody out there who has dreams of making a short film or taking on a story like this on their own?
Wash your hands, wear a mask, social distance, and everybody will be fine.
Yeah.
I think the best advice I could give is do it. Just find a way and do it, because the biggest thing that stopped me for the longest was thinking I couldn't, or that I never would. So just the act of doing it made me realize, it can be done and it's possible. And here it is.
Here we are. Well said. I like that. Well, congratulations, guys. Very memorable piece here on opening night at HollyShorts. The movie is Theo, and I look forward to seeing whatever you guys work on next. It's a wild movie. All right. We've got a few more to go. If you're just logging on, thank you so much. My name is Ben Lyons. Welcome to another opening night of HollyShorts, doing things obviously a little different this year, but maintaining that energy that we always love at HollyShorts of getting different styles of filmmakers and different types of movies all together. And now we switch gears to this next piece called Youngest. We're joined by Nat Wolff, the director. We've got who else? We've got Michael from the cast. We've got June. We've got Austin. I think we got a whole crew here from the movie Youngest, which I got to be honest, look like a lot of fun to make. Some of these, there's Ari still hanging out. Hey. HollyShorts. We're all like a big short film community. Seriously, congratulations, guys. Am I wrong in thinking that this was just like a really fun time to make this, despite some of the heavy themes and things going on?
Well, I think it was a blast. But June, you're gonna have to take that one. What do you think?
It was awesome. I loved it.
You crushed it, June. You really did.
Guys, we got two more guys who are supposed to be on here. We got Michael and Austin.
Okay.
Michael.
Here we go.
Hey! There we are.
First time the whole cast is getting together since the movie.
And then Michael's right here. He's saying, "How do I log on?"
There's a thing that says "can" and yeah.
Hey, there it is. Hey! Okay.
Tells me June is the tech wizard in this crew, probably.
Yeah, June's doing tech for the entire film festival.
But Nat, had the whole thing come together, man. It's a really fun project.
Well, my girlfriend is Grace, who's June's older sister, and I spent all this time with June and her family. And I noticed how June would sometimes be treated, by people like a person, and sometimes be treated by people like a prop, or like a little baby or something. And she's a very precocious young girl, and she was, 6 then, and then 7 when we made the movie. But at 6, if anybody started talking to her in kind of a fake baby voice or something, you could tell she was just not having it. And I felt, when I watched her, I felt this familiar feeling of being a kid and wanting so badly to be taken seriously by the adults around you, and wanting to be, wanting to be seen and to be loved and to be heard, kind of like, everybody else, but in the world, but just because she's so small doesn't mean that her needs and wants and desires aren't just as big. I don't know. Now for some reason I'm only seeing myself, but June,
come back to everybody. Okay. There we go. Look, it's such a giving.
Then I wrote the script and it was basically based off a lot of things that June had said, and then I thought, Michael and June have known each other since June was a little baby, and Michael's always been an old soul and always talks to everybody the same way, which is an asshole. No, I'm just kidding. Which is with complete sincerity and sweetness. And so I thought they would be a great combination. And then Austin Abrams is a brilliant, actor who I worked with on a movie called Paper Towns, who stayed in character the entire time during the film, and I didn't know who he was until the movie ended. But he's one of my friends, and I knew that he'd give his all to this, to this jerk in our movie. And so then, we assembled an amazing cast around. So that's how it all happened.
For the 3 actors in this piece, what's it like to be directed by someone who's also an actor? I've interviewed Nat over the years for different movies.
It's so good to see you. Yeah, of course.
What's it like to work with a director who understands kind of the mindset of being an actor?
Who wants to talk?
I'll
June go first?
June, you go first.
June, you go first.
I love working with Nat. And I loved working. Yeah, I don't know what to say.
Well, I mean, you obviously have a friendship, and it's easy, like trust and all that kind of stuff. But
I paid you $200 to say exactly what I told you to say. $200. Just say what was on the script. Just kidding. Okay.
Did you think he was a good director?
But Nat is like a brother to me, so I love working with him. you.
That's cool. Love to hear that. Well, how about for you guys, for Michael and for Austin? What's it like to have somebody who kind of understands the life of an actor behind the lens?
You want to talk first, Michael?
Yeah, I'll do it. It was really an incredible process getting to do it with June. I think Nat really created an environment which was super loving and great, where like June and me could just kind of have fun, and having him have that eye and kind of guide us through whatever improv or script we were going or know where we were. He was really an incredible guide and an incredible friend to have on it. So he really helped me, and he taught me a lot about acting just from the 3 days that we got to do it. So I had a blast. It was amazing. He really did an incredible job.
Austin, party scenes in movies like this can often like take you out of the moment, but this party feels really authentic. It's really real. So of the 3 days you guys were shooting, what was party scene day like?
I mean, it was very similar to what you saw. I mean, that is pretty incredible because he's an actor, he knows, man, he just knows how to talk to you, and he also knows what you need. So he made an environment that was, like in terms of the party, that like really felt like that, you know, like a lot of times when you're working on a movie or a show, you'll do a party scene. They're just playing the same songs over and over again, and it really a lot of the people, you end up being kind of bored, and then it doesn't have the same kind of enthusiasm. But Nat is able to create an environment where he's able to keep that enthusiasm, and like he knows what to get out of everyone, and how to really direct everyone really well. Which is why I'm just so proud of him, like as a director, because it is pretty astonishing. Like I've only worked with a few amount of people, directors that have been able to do that, and he's definitely one of them.
That's very cool. We got one question here before we wrap up in the comments section on the side. Fan of the film, absolutely loved Youngest. Autumn's trajectory reminded me so much of Mooney from the Florida Project. Great comp right there. I love seeing young kids be directed as their natural selves. Was this by chance an inspiration? So question for Nat, sort of some of your inspirations as a filmmaker, and who inspires you?
That's a huge inspiration. I love the Florida Project because exactly why, you know, they said that made it great was that they didn't present kids in a sort of a way that's designed to make the adults look a certain way. They presented kids as they are, you know, which is bold. And for some reason, you watch so many movies about young kids, and it sounds like they're little adults, like they're too clever, or they're just there to say this kind of stupid thing at the end of the scene that everybody can go, oh, you know. But the thing about June is funnier than the three of us. I mean, June, you know, she's gone a little quiet in a good way. Like we say that as an actor, she's like Joaquin Phoenix, because she's so brilliant, but she also might run off the set at any moment. You know? And then go ahead, June.
I might do this right now. It's midnight.
And she's got to get to school in the morning. So, but yeah, so Florida Project was a huge inspiration. But I would really say that just June and then going off the actors, of you guys saying that is so sweet. But really, I think what we had on set was just the feeling that everybody could play and not feel like they had to do anything right. Everything was playing, and just capturing that energy was all I wanted. So I feel so lucky to have had such great actors that could just go there.
You guys knocked it out of the park, and it is getting late, June, so we're going to wrap up with you guys. But you crushed it in this. Congratulations. I hope you had a good time. Thank you guys so much. We on the Youngest. It's terrific. Shout out to Nat Wolff, who did a wonderful job. All right, I think now we are switching gears, going to a film called Query. We're joined now by the director. Sophie's joining us right now. I think so. Yes. Oh no, still got some leftovers from Youngest. Oh, there she is. What's up? How are you?
Hello. I'm joined by my co-writer, Ryan Farhudi.
Nice to meet you. You guys have written a really intimate, special piece here. Talk to me about the inspiration and just where you guys shot it and how you shot it and how you made the whole thing happen.
So I just come off shooting something else, and I'd sort of caught the bug. I wanted to jump into another short, but I didn't have a lot of money. And
theme to the evening here at HollyShorts. Yeah.
And I was like, what can I make with a, 2 people, 1 location, less than 10 minutes. And it started, I think also we were having a conversation about the Gen Z generation and how I think the Gen Z generation is more primed and more open to talk about sexuality than any other generation prior. And we sort of, Ryan, who's like one of my frequent collaborators, my favorite collaborators, we were just sort of spitballing. We came up with an idea. Ryan wrote the first draft in, I think, 20 minutes. And
it was a quickie.
That's a testament to him, because like all the best parts of Query are in that first draft. And then I sort of went in there and massaged it, and in my very sort of persnickety way, molded it and went back and rewrote, and then 2 weeks later we were shooting, if you can believe it. And then 2 weeks after that, we were picture locked. So from sort of inception to picture lock, it was about a month and a day. So it was a very, very quick process. But I mean, I think it's such a testament to him. The beautiful sort of the language, the nuance, the jokes, that's all him.
Well, there's a moment in the film where the 2 characters are throwing a beer together back and forth on the street. And that's where, to me, the writing just popped. And I was thinking to myself, wow, who wrote this? And then lucky my life, and an hour later, I get to meet the guy. So that's pretty cool. But what's it like for you to see that scene come to life in particular?
It was interesting because, as Sophie said, we had sort of thought about it. And I think everybody makes things in a unique way and sees things in a unique way. And a lot of times when I write, I can't do what Sophie does. I think she's a very talented director, and I've got friends that are directors. And it's one thing to read something on a page and imagine how you would shoot it. But when I write, I can write quickly. I don't even know if it's always good, but when I do write, I write quickly. It's almost like seeing all the scenes with like a smear of Vaseline over it. So it's really fast and kind of frenetic in my mind, but I can see how it looks. And so that particular scene was just, I was drawing on something that we used to do when I was a kid, where we would play this game. We would take a water balloon, I would toss it to you, or an egg, and then we would each step back, and so the stakes were raised, and so as they were talking about something that to them had stakes, which is sexuality and sort of coming of age and all these things, it was just sort of amplified a little bit by gamifying it, so maybe in our subconscious mind, we feel that happening as they talk about what they're talking about. And so, yeah, it was fun. And as Sophie was saying, in the first draft I wrote, it was pretty, I wouldn't say 2-dimensional, but it was very, it felt very, almost, it felt a little flat. And as we started to talk about the relationship, we wanted to give it some depth and nuance. And this whole idea of them trying to either one-up or play a game with each other started to blossom. And then we sort of rounded and made it a little bit more full. That's why at the end of the short, when they say, you want to go again, that was all built on this idea that they were competing with each other. And, I don't even know what they were competing for. It was just the pushing of it all, which was very fun.
Yeah, I think also in the way that, like, I think I was really interested in this idea of I don't normally see like 2 bro-y type dudes have sort of a sophisticated, very thoughtful conversation about sexuality. I've just never seen it before. And I was like, why? Like that's such an opportunity. And so sort of that idea, but you do sort of see, at least, I've seen some of my friends who are like a little younger than me. There's like an element of competition, like everything they make into a competition, whether it's like who can like eat the Cheerios faster, or like who can like, get whatever it is. It's like there's always some element of competition. And I liked the idea sort of flipping that on its head at the end, and turning it into, after sort of they kiss, it's like a, it sort of plays into that theme of like, you want to go again? Like, and what are you referring to?
There's a moment where the guys are going down the street, and Armie Hammer runs by, says hi, one of their buddies, and kind of keeps it moving. I don't know if that's like a wink to the audience, like a call me by your name reference, or what's happening there, but it does kind of break up the monotony of the two of them on screen for a little bit. What was the impetus for not only, obviously it's great to have an actor of his caliber in the piece in any way, but just that moment of sort of breaking up their dynamic was a real choice you made. Yeah.
So Nikki and Ashton were two of my producers. Which is their house is where we shot at. They left a little early because we had sort of monopolized their house, and I got a call from Nikki when we broke for lunch, because he knew that after lunch we were doing the scene where the two boys are walking down the street, and in my mind I had sort of, it was like a little bit of an homage to Terrence Malick's Badlands. I don't know if you've seen it, for any like weird film nerds. There's a shot when Kit and Holly, the two characters, are walking down the street, and it's like a very small moment, but there's a like a next door neighbor sort of walking across the street back of them while they're walking, and he's carrying groceries, and it's like a small little tiny moment. But to me, I thought, oh, like that's really interesting. It gives texture. There's a world beyond this story, these two people. And so in my mind, I was like, we had a couple PAs that day. I was going to have one of the PAs sort of walk or be like jogging across the street just to give it a little texture. And Nikki calls me, and I guess Armie, who's one of our good friends, had just come back from London, and Nikki called me, and he's like, well, wouldn't it be funny if that person or Armie? And I was like, that's hilarious. And so silly, but it made me laugh. And then we sort of thought about, well, let's make him a jogger, and about an hour later they show up, and we did probably 6 takes, and that was his history.
Yeah, it's a real testament to Armie that Nick on our lunch break literally went to Armie's house, who doesn't live very far away, and they had like a beer, and he was like, come do this thing, and Armie was like, I'll go, which is lovely. It's a good characteristic. He's a spontaneous fellow. Mm-hmm. So it's nice that he showed up to do it,
And so, it was interesting, because I think it was an interesting situation, because my longtime editor, Christine, was editing a feature and going on to another feature, and we had 2 weeks to edit the film, and so we had to be very, very, I was sort of forced to be, and when I say 2 weeks, that was nights and 2 weekends. So we had a very, very tight edit. And so I was forced to be very sort of specific, very precise about what was going to be in the film. I wasn't afforded the opportunity of pickups or reshoots. So so knowing that, it was cool, because we sort of knew the edit, so that we could sort of open it up for unplanned accidents.
We have a great final question here from the chat. Digital LA wants to know, and I think both of you guys might have some insight on this. So what's the next scene after the final scene of Query?
That's so funny.
Great question. Actually, it's so funny. A few people have been like, I want part 2. Ryan?
That's interesting, because I think ultimately when we left it at the cliffhanger, I imagined it would be nice for people to drive home and have a conversation and fill in the blanks for themselves. Like the girlfriend is like, I think they make out. And then the boyfriend's like, no way, they're gonna not do it again or whatever. I think in my mind, based on the fact that they've gone that far, I see them taking it ratchet it up a notch. Why not? I mean, if you're gonna twice, you might as well dance. You know what I mean? You're right there.
I always had the opposite idea, whereas, I always imagined that it would be something like Y Tu Mama Tambien, where it was like something they never spoke about again, and it was like that thing where it was just like the elephant in the room, and they were, you know, either that was they were going to continue, or maybe that was like the thing that sort of pushed them.
What a Puritan! I think they banged. No.
Well, honestly, a testament to you both to have this type of ending that inspires such conversation afterwards and imagination for the audience. And I think it's a sign of a great filmmaker or a great filmmaking team to trust the audience enough to connect to the characters in their own way.
Totally. And as a testament to the boys, I think it's important that everyone note that those two kids were outstanding. Justice and them could not have been better.
Yeah,
they're so good.
I will say that a few people think that, you know, or it seems like improv, but I will say that like 99.4% of Query was written. So that's just a testament to how good the guys are.
Well, thanks for bringing Ryan along for this Q&A. It's a great cameo here. Appreciate it because the writing is terrific, and I love the way you put the camera too over the little like blow up pool or whatever. That's just a great shot. Congratulations on this. Great to meet you both, and continued success. Look forward to hopefully a continuation of the story someday. We'll see. Thank you. Congrats on being a part of HollyShorts. And now we switch gears to Furlough. Time to catch up with director Phoebe Tonkin. What's up, Phoebe?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Congratulations on this dreamlike, trippy little piece. Where did the idea come from? And talk a little bit just about the visual style of it, which is such a character unto itself.
Thank you. I should also just jump in and say that was really special because I know Sophie and Ryan, and I didn't realize that they would be before me. And so if you could see me in the little box, like grinning and being so excited to hear them talk about their amazing film. So that was cool. I know if we're not at a real festival, it's nice to still sort of like interact and see your other filmmaker friends, even though it's just on my phone.
That's the whole idea. That's amazing. I love it.
But thank you so much. Yeah, you know, I had been tinkering with the idea of Furlough for a while, and you know, it was sort of a manifest of a lot of different ideas that I was tinkering with, and just sort of tried to fit all of that into a concise, semi-concise 18-minute film. And for me, it was always really important to showcase Australia in that kind of dreamlike, whimsical, but also sort of gritty, rural way as well. And so I'm glad that it came off that way.
Yeah, you know, there are so many challenges that filmmakers face when taking on a story, especially in a medium like this, whether it's a lack of financing or time with the actors, or what were some of the things you think, to set yourself up for success?
You know, I have been really lucky. I've been working as an actress for 17 years. And so I really kind of digested and learned a lot by osmosis. And I was really lucky to work with a director called Landon a few years ago. And I just watched how he worked. And I watched how he worked under pressure and how he really relied on, it was almost like he was like manning a ship. And he just sort of relied on all these talented people around him. But he was really, you know, clear in what he wanted, but sort of was able to delegate and organize really well. And especially in a short film when you really have such limited amount of time and money and all those things. And so it was kind of a great learning experience for me. And so for this, you know, especially being Australian, I'm surrounded by so many like very talented, very, very talented people. And so I was just lucky that I was able to connect with a lot of people and the timing was right. And I kind of got to work with my first choices for everyone. And so during that process, as stressful as it was, I sort of just stuck to my core of what I needed to do and knew that everyone around me was so talented in what their objective and job was, that they could do their job very clearly and well as well. It felt very like collaborative.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned wanting to show a more rural side of Australia. Obviously, it's more than just the Opera House and the Sydney Bridge and the things the tourists see, but to really get into sort of the not underbelly, but the real Australia in a way, and these people and these characters who aren't, you know, a Hemsworth brother, if you will. So talk to me a little bit about just the how Australia is sort of a character in the piece and your relationship with your home country and through your work.
Yeah, I mean, definitely this was a reflection of, my upbringing and kind of my teenage
Yeah.
existence when I was growing up. It was not perfect and cool. It was, we kind of all dressed pretty tomboyish and we were kind of rough kids, and we sort of spoke kind of roughly and so I really wanted to sort of see that represented in this film and in these characters and especially in kind of my two leads. I definitely wanted them to ad lib and for them to really feel the environment, and everyone other than our two lead actresses, Millian Markella and Ryan Core and Katie Beckett, everyone else was street casting, and that was a really cool experience for me because we were filming about 2 hours outside of where I live in Sydney. And so we were like literally going up to kids on the street and saying, "Hey, we're making a film. Are you interested? Can you tell us about yourself?" And so, our scene at the party was just all local kids, and we sort of just wanted them to interact and be authentic as they would be in that environment. And I felt like that really elevated the energy and the pacing and just sort of the interactions between the characters by really just kind of casting real people, which I've been told, like, as a first-time director was like a pretty insane thing to do. It's like the least thing you can control, but
Sure.
everyone that was part of Furlough was just so amazing. And it really kind of added to the authenticity of, like, especially at the skate park, all those kids were just kids at the skate park that we
Totally.
cast on the spot.
Well, look, directing a movie of any size or scope is a crazy thing to do, let alone casting off the street. But just this experience of directing this 18-minute piece, how do you think it's going to change you as an artist moving forward?
Oh, it cut out a little at
Oh,
the
what off
end.
for a second. I was going to say, directing a movie is a crazy experience, but you got through it. You made something special. So how do you think this experience directing Furlough is going to change you as an artist, whether it's in front of the camera or behind it moving forward?
Yeah, I think, I would love to keep kind of exploring other stories. I have an idea to kind of turn Furlough into something longer, or just even sort of taking out some of the characters and putting them in different scenarios as well, sort of still in the same world and environment. But as an actress, it was such an incredible learning curve for me of just sort of being on the other side of that, and also honestly just seeing how hard everyone on a film set or a short film set, or how hard everyone works. As an actress, I have the luxury of sort of, being kind of on the other side of that. But when you're sort of really part of that side of the camera, you really kind of learn how hard everyone's working. And I would love to keep being able to tell stories. It was amazing to be able to tell a story that I was in complete control of. As an actress, ordinarily I'm kind of, cast as something, and the kind of lead up to this film was just such a incredible experience, being able to do all the research and hiring and talking about this film and really collaborating with people is something that as an actress I don't get to do as much, being really in the driver's seat of that kind of control, that creative experience. So yeah, I mean, I would love to keep kind of being able to tell stories and share kind of parts of life that I want to see more of on screen.
Well, as someone who's been to Australia a few times, I hope you're able to tell more stories that take place over there, because it's such a special country and you did a wonderful job bringing these characters to life in an authentic way. So congratulations and thanks for sharing the piece with us.
Thank you so much, Ben. Well, have a good night, and thank you for having me at HollyShorts.
Thank you so much, Phoebe. The film Furlough here at HollyShorts. And I think we got time for one more. We got the director of Thirst, Stefan Desil. Is that how you pronounce your last name? Desil?
Yeah, Desil, and
it's great to meet you. This is a crazy premise and leaves the audience wanting so much more, which is just the sign of a great short film to me. Walk me through the idea behind Thirst.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to be in this lineup. The idea has been something that's been gestating within me for a little while. It's inspired partly by the Flint water crisis and other water crises around the world that disproportionately affect people of color. And this film is about this father-daughter relationship, which is something that I've been trying to explore for a little while now, and is a cautionary tale that kind of explores the worst possible outcome if we don't face these issues head on.
This dystopian future, zombies, some technology that's just blended in so seamlessly. You were able to get a lot of production value, I would imagine, out of a very limited budget. The movie pops. Talk to me about how you were able to add those elements to make you a very small, intimate story feel so much bigger.
Thank you. It's just having a great team and a lot of preparation. I come from a fine arts background, so every shot was storyboarded. I storyboarded every shot, and then working with my production designer and creative partner Brad Canan, every time, like we crafted a color palette, and we knew going into the film we didn't want to use any visual effects. We wanted to do everything in camera. So ahead of time, a month, 2 months out from the shoot, we were planning how to do that, doing little tests on the iPhone, and then again working in that color scheme and building a world. And this is a world that all summer, because we've been thinking about the project for so long, we've been building out this world as a feature. So getting to play with this short was it was a fun opportunity to kind of just dive in to using some of the toys in the toy box that we have been building.
Yeah, absolutely. Out of all the films in this year's opening night, this is the one to me that just screams, okay, bigger. We need to figure this out on how to take it to a feature length, which doesn't diminish, however, the ability for the film to stand on its own 2 feet. Yes, it leaves you wanting more, but it is a self-contained piece. So you had been developing it as a feature, you said. So was it a challenge to kind of narrow it down and almost make a smaller version of the story?
It was, because I will say, and I think that, my EPs and everybody from Alta Global Media and 8th Street, and then at 20th Digital for helping me finesse this piece, because the feature is a lot more expansive, and you see how this thing started, and we delve into the technology. But for the short, it was about setting up the rules. I wanted people to understand what the rules of this world are, and also connect to the emotion and tone that we were trying to craft for third. So finding that, and that found its way in the form of a nursery rhyme, which is something that I also, my manager Randy helped push me to find. That nursery rhyme is basically what helped shape this short.
There's a scene, for those who haven't seen it, I don't want to give it away, where the lead little girl comes face to face with her fears, or with the most terrifying thing one could imagine, and she nails it. Walk me through casting an actress of that age, because it makes or breaks the movie, and she knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, Kennedy is incredible. I got to thank my casting directors for that. They really sent me so many great options. And Kennedy, there's just something really, really unique about the resilience that she already had in the audition. And then on set, she's so incredibly professional. And Charlie Barnett, who plays the father, he's also a good friend of mine. So we have been trying to work on something together for a while. So that was just pretty much just a beautiful kind of synchronicity and serendipity getting to work with him on this project. And then Tiffany, who plays our monster, which is called the Ligon. So we kind of crafted our own little creature there.
Now, you do a great job with the casting, in addition to all the other exciting bells and whistles, obviously, going on. Somebody's joking in the chat saying, don't sneeze, this predicted going outside in 2020. Yeah, you're definitely onto something, unfortunately, with this one. Last thing.
There's always something out there.
Yeah. Last thing here, but just any advice to other young filmmakers who not only want to direct a film, but want to direct a film with some really ambitious themes. You're talking Flint water crisis. You're talking zombies. You're talking father-daughter relationship. There's a lot going on here. So what advice would you have for somebody who's looking to take on not only a short film, but a challenging one at that?
I would say start simple, and try to do as much as you can in camera. I think because of the access to visual effects, a lot of people are kind of just diving in and like using all of the plugins to create things. But that inventive, you know, that old Amblin style inventiveness, the Sam Raimi stuff, and being bold, I mean, that you really discover your vision that way. I had made a short with some of the same people who worked with me on this film called The Treadmill, and we decided to make something that was a completely silent film, no dialogue, and do everything as much as we could in camera. And there are so many access points for that. You know, I mean, you could go on Etsy and find really cool trinkets. You can, you know, go on Craigslist and meet some incredible prop designers to help you out. You know, so I would say like really find an idea that you think that you can execute in camera simply, and go big. You know, go big in terms of the emotion.
Well, you did that for sure in this one, and I can't wait to see this idea continue to find its way and hopefully make its way to a feature one day. So congratulations, and thanks for closing out a great opening night, man.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here.
Great to connect. Yeah, congratulations. And just want to take a second to thank all our filmmakers tonight. We had 9 movies here in this last block. We had 4 or 5 in the first block, and we are just kicking off an incredible week of short films here. HollyShorts, 16 years in a row. And big shout out to Nicole and Theo and Daniel and the entire crew. Make sure you're following along on all the social media platforms at HollyShorts so you can find out where to find all the movies and connect with all the filmmakers. I'm really glad we were able to do this tonight. So thank you so much to everybody who participated. Once again, my name is Ben Lyons, and I love being a part of this thing called HollyShorts. So thank you for having me, and enjoy the movies this week. Take care. Peace.